Welcome in, Flock. It's a Thursday, November 14th edition of a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett. As always, joined alongside my co-host and partner, Sarah Ellison. Got to shout out Tori Trossett for her 28th birthday today out there in
nice.
Denver. Younger sis. Just saw her last weekend, so hopefully she's having a fantastic day. We've got a fantastic show on deck for you because Marcus Spears, ESPN analyst, former Baltimore Raven, as well as a number of other teams during his time in the National Football League, Sarah, kind of issued some sort of warning, in a sense, to the NFL, like, hey, like Patrick Mahomes, like Aaron Donald, like other greats, let's not get fatigued, and let's not allow ourselves to get fatigued by the greatness that we're watching what feels like on a weekly basis. Tom Brady weighed in, James Jones, former NFL wide receiver who's on the facility, weighed in terms of the legacy conversation surrounding Lamar Jackson, and we've got a boatload of takeaways from press conferences. It's going to be a heavy number 8 episode for sure because he had a press conference yesterday. We've got some injury report findings that we learned yesterday. It's still early, 2 more practices, one of which is coming up later today. It is Steelers-Ravens week. That's what we're working towards. Great to see you today.
It's good to see you. Happy birthday to Tori. That's great. Did not know it was her birthday today. I know she's chilling in Colorado these days, right? Yep. And Bobby, once again, without being planned, we're somewhat matching today. Got kind of like the darker over jacket over a white shirt. So it happens at least a couple times a week. So I love it. I am pumped for today. Can't wait to get into this episode. Lots of good legacy talk and for sure some more Ravens Steelers preview.
And one more wardrobe comment, and I promise we're done. How am I going to get blasted today for wearing this? What angle is the audience going to take today to put me down for today's outfit? What's it going to be?
No, the outfit's good, but I am going to call you Bobby Mustache again today.
All right. Well, it won't be there for very much longer. I know.
Over
on my personal channel, I'm well aware people are getting all over me about how it's peach fuzz, it's this, it's that. I get it. All the Trossett boys understand this. We can't grow facial hair for you know what. And so even if we can for a couple days, allow us to enjoy it. I get it's probably creepy. I get it's probably not up your alley out there. You guys aren't enjoying it collectively. At least the vocal minority, Sarah, is not enjoying it. But I am for now, and we're going to let it ride for the rest of the week at least.
Keep it. And by the way, my dad had a mustache my entire life. I remember once he shaved it and we all freaked out and he had to grow it back. We always thought he looked like Tom Selleck. Keep it.
You know what? I'm very much a fan of your father. So we got something in common there. He could probably pull that sucker off a little bit more than I can. But hey, off we go.
All right, let's go. Let's get into Marcus Spears, which we've talked a couple times, Bobby, on this show about how we just urge Ravens fans to appreciate the moment that we are witnessing right now with Lamar Jackson. I thought on his own podcast, Marcus Spears really brought home that message on what was really just a great speech. I've broken it up into 2 parts because there's 2 kind of points I want to talk about. But this first part is, and I almost feel like it's like you said, he's like warning the NFL. I'm saying maybe MVP voters, like everybody that has legacy power in their hands, players. I'm sure he's going to get voted into a Pro Bowl, but all pro voters, MVP voters, let's not get fatigued wanting to see what the next great thing is when literally one of the greatest in history is playing at his best right in front of us.
I've said this about Mahomes. I've said this about LeBron James. I've said this about Aaron Donald. We cannot get fatigued when we watching greatness actually happen in real time. And right now, family, like, we have to take a second and pause and respect what Lamar Jackson is doing as the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens and how he's playing the position and the level. Lamar Jackson has thrown for 2,669 yards. He has 24 touchdowns to 2 interceptions and a 76.9 QBR. That ain't his legs. And I've thought and have said this publicly that when Lamar Jackson is on the field. He's the best football player on the field. Now he's starting to be the best quarterback on the field and in the entire league. And there is no question about it that he is right now the best quarterback in the National Football League. And I'm not talking about overall. I'm talking about right now, today, as we sit here. And since this season has started, he's on his way to winning his third MVP. And I get it because I'm one of them. Swag, show me the Super Bowl, and then we can start having phenomenal conversations about Lamar Jackson. His play and his ability right now today can win him a Super Bowl.
All right, Bobby. So a couple of statements in there. I think we both agree on the part about no fatigue, right? Putting it up there with the Patrick Mahomes, LeBron James, Aaron Donald, all those kind of guys. Don't ever get tired of watching greatness. Two statements he said I wanted to get your reaction on outside of the fatigue warning. Number one, he said that Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL this season. And then he also says he believes that it is for sure enough to go on to win a Super Bowl. So number one, do you agree that he's the best quarterback this season? And number two, are you willing to go with Marcus and predict that he can and will win a Super Bowl?
Well, I don't know if he can overcome this defense, but I think it's inarguable that he has been through 10 weeks. And so in showing no signs of slowing down, the best quarterback in this league. And again, it's not taking anything away from him in terms of wondering and maybe even having concern about whether or not he and this offense can overcome what we've seen from this 32nd ranked pass defense. What I'm more so trying to say and acknowledge is that in January, it's going to be a lot more difficult in terms of the opponent. And if you do have one of those games where there's third down drops and there's dropped interceptions like there was, and it was a perfect storm, you might argue, on that Sunday in Cleveland. But if that were to happen, and you were to be below average or just average as an offense and put up somewhere over 24 points, as they did, I think that was the actual number during that loss in Cleveland the other day, then I'm concerned about the other side of the coin holding serve for Lamar, and that's Zach Orr's defense. So those are my thoughts on your two questions. What about you?
I agree with you. It is absolutely inarguable that he is the best quarterback in the NFL this season, bar none. And I've never really understood he's the best football player, but not the best quarterback. Like, to me, like, if you're the best football player, it means you're not only the best at your position, but best at all positions. So I've never, like, to me, I get what they're saying with the statement, but it's never made sense to me. Yes, he is the best quarterback. He's the best football player. He's the best player on the field week in and week out, bar none. And Bobby, to your point, I swear on my life, I'm going to be so... listen, I consider myself a very happy, very optimistic, very joyful person, but I don't know that I will ever get over if this defense fails Lamar Jackson through the Super Bowl. When you are putting on this MV3 season, if Lamar balls out throughout the playoffs and it comes down to whoever gets the ball last, I'm going to be so ticked. I'm going to be so ticked. I don't know that I'll ever be able to let it go. And also, Marcus Spears put out some of Lamar Jackson's stats, which are phenomenal. What's crazy is his 2,669 yards. It's number 2 in the league, passing yards. It's only 3 yards below Joe Burrow, but that's in passing yards. And this is why Lamar Jackson is the new standard for quarterback, because when you add in what he also does with his legs, all of that with his arm, he's number 2 in the league. But if you want to add in what he's doing with his legs, this guy, the Ravens quarterback, has 3,207 yards, which then blows away Joe Burrow's combined passing and rushing. Obviously, he doesn't rush, by 400 yards. 400 yards. He's leading everybody else in combined yards. His pass yards per attempt, number 1. His passing touchdowns of 24, number 1, tied with Joe Burrow. That passer rating, easily number 1, 123.2. Joe Burrow, 108.1. Crazy that both these quarterbacks are in the AFC North. Just absolutely putting on a show. So when he says, do not get fatigued, you know I'm not even close to there. I think you can feel my energy with it. I'm the opposite of fatigued, and I hope everybody else is there with them, including the MVP voters. And that brings us into the next conversation, Bobby. Lamar Jackson consistently says that he doesn't care about MVPs. Okay? Marcus Spears says he vehemently disagrees, and here's why, while he's also urging us yet again to appreciate what's going on.
Lamar Jackson right now, when you watch him play, there's an expectation that he's going to be great. And you only get in that conversation from consistency. And the level of consistency that we've seen from Lamar Jackson, it is worthy of taking a pause and realizing that we are watching history.
Okay, we'll take a pause. He says, take a pause. Soak that in. Soak it in. You are watching history. Think back to how you wish we could go back to the Ray Lewis days. Bring him back. Wish you could go back to Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs days with how much misery we're feeling on defense right now. Remember how awesome that felt? Just take it in right now. Take it in right now how awesome it feels to have a quarterback that's leading in all categories, is constantly winning AFC Player of the Week, is constantly overcoming his defense. Just soak that in. It's crazy. Okay, moving on.
I care about is you are on your way for a third time being named the most valuable player in the National Football League amongst the best football players the world has to offer.
Look at his face.
I'm gonna take that in for a minute, man. I'm going to choose to respect and admire and realize that we witnessing something in this league that we haven't seen before with Lamar on his way to winning a third MVP. I don't think it's going to fall apart. I will say it with my full chest that Lamar Jackson is going to win his third most valuable player award. And I get it. We don't play this game for individual accolades. He will even tell you it means nothing until I win a Super Bowl. I vehemently disagree with Lamar Jackson about it not meaning anything. Right now, 6 players in the history of the league, 6 players have won 3 MVPs, 3 or more. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Jim Brown, Johnny Unitas. Lamar Jackson is going to be the 7th name added to that list.
Bobby, I agree on a lot with Lamar Jackson, but on this one, I'm with Marcus Spears. I vehemently disagree that that a third MVP would mean nothing. Last year we came on weekly, and I'd be like, Lamar Jackson deserves a second MVP over Purdy and over Allen and all this, and I'd come in, and then the chat would be like, nah, who cares? Who cares? We won a Super Bowl. But why does it matter, Bobby? Why does it matter? Because of legacy.
You want to know why I'm actually taking Lamar's side on this one?
Oh, here we go. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. Tell me. Give it. Here we go. I love it when we disagree. Here we go.
I'm going to tell you why I'm right.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. Let's hear it.
I'm not taking Lamar and his words at face value when he says this. I think when he says things like that, it is literally what embodies Lamar Jackson's greatness. Of course it means something. But since the moment he was drafted and the Ravens went up and got him at 32, and we all remember what he told Deion Sanders that night, that has been the focal point since the moment he became a Baltimore Raven, chasing a Lombardi trophy. And while everything along the way, accolades-wise, as he says it, is secondary, I don't buy that. I mean, clearly, the company, the elite company that Marcus just mentioned that he'd be joining is significant. Very significant in terms of NFL history.
You cheated. You cheated. You cheated.
Here we go, guys. Stop the count.
You said I don't disagree with Lamar because you think that Lamar's not telling the truth.
I'm just not taking him at face value when it comes to his media coverage tactic. I think it's a tactic. I think it's a tactic that makes him great.
Correct. Like that part I agree. So it is 100% true that each football player, because football is the ultimate team sport, you have to put the team first. He is not putting individual accolades first. But when he looks back, when it's all said and done, yes, it will mean something to him. Racking up all these MVPs, it'll mean something to him for sure. But yes, but I actually do believe him Because in the moment, he is right. From his perspective, it's got to be team first, Super Bowl first. And it is the rings that matter most. And that's the thing, is sometimes we act like the MVP, the regular season MVP, and the Super Bowl it's like a false choice between the two. We can have both. It's happened time and time again. Lamar just needs to finish it. And so, to finish great, to have a legacy, it's what Marcus Spears just said. You have to do it consistently. And so he's consistently doing it in the regular season, as we see with him coming in for MV3. And now he's got to consistently extend that all the way through the playoffs. He's had some good playoff games. But I'm going to explain to you why it's very important, because after you get to these super chats, because James Jones and what he says about Lamar in the next clip is exactly why it matters. But go ahead with some super chats.
Yeah, a lot of you are weighing in on this topic right now. We've got over 1,700 of you joining concurrently on this Thursday afternoon. So glad you can be with us. Like the video on the way in, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content here. Eric Wiggins says Lamar's doing this with this defense should help his MVP case. I think our defense will step up when it's time if we need a stop in the playoffs.
Oh, I hope you're right, Eric.
Oof, where's that optimism coming from, Eric? It's encouraging. That's encouraging optimism. I don't know where to find that optimism. I'm looking for it, and I can't find it.
Hopefully, Deshaun Elliott gave it to him. Hopefully, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
Joey C says Lamar is 3 yards behind Joey B on 70 less pass attempts. Nice little twist there. Jang says, is it Sunday yet? Let's go Ravens. A rivalry renewed coming up. 1 o'clock kickoff in Pittsburgh, the first of 2 between the Ravens and Steelers. Samuel says, Sarah, we have the same go get it mentality. Love it.
Yeah.
You live it. That's what you do. You live it. Laura says, Bobby looks great.
Bobby.
With earth tones. Yeah, you and I both live it for sure.
Yeah.
It comes off. Sometimes we come off different when it comes to personalities. Trust me, guys. We have a very similar approach to life. Trust me on that one. Laura showing me a little bit of love, saying Bobby looks great with earth tones.
Lovely.
Appreciate it, Laura. Samuel, a second time, says mailman checking in again. You guys rock. Hashtag go Ravens. Oh, okay, this was the comment that I referenced, I think, within the last week or so, that Samuel is a mailman and he listens to us in his truck, which is pretty cool. I think that's the comment
awesome.
that I was referencing. Eric also throws in a second super chat and says, Stephen A. Smith is hating on Lamar. Today, his take was horrible, in my opinion. We'll have to go take a look.
On good takes, Marcus.
We are. We've got a couple more from Tom Brady and James Jones, like you referenced as well. And Justin Drinkwalter says, Bobby mustache. Hashtag fault. Bobby. I saw Teal on the way in said Bobby wardrobe. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Bobby wardrobe, Bobby anything.
Bobby, you know why they comment on it, right? It's because you're such a good sport. It's the only reason why I play along with it too. Like, you really are a good sport about it, which we appreciate.
I find it endearing. So hopefully you guys feel the same way. If
and
not,
you were like, you're vulnerable. Like, you open up your dating life. Like, you're very vulnerable. You just put it all out there. So it takes a confident person to do that.
Glad you're receptive to it. And I think it's a fun way of humanizing the show.
Yeah.
And glad you guys are here. James Jones?
James Jones. Hit it.
Yeah. So I guess you already set this up in a sense. I'll just add on that, James clearly views Lamar, as pretty much all of us do, as a bona fide Hall of Famer right now. If he were to hang it up tomorrow, what he thinks can get him to a certain, let's say, room or table in Canton is still to be determined when it comes to Lamar. Here's former NFL wide receiver, current co-host of the facility, James Jones.
Yeah, right now Lamar's in the room because his gold jacket is already getting fitted, dog.
Of course.
He's a 2-time MVP. If he decided to stop playing today, he's walking into the room.
Yes, sir.
But he's standing up. Can't sit here, dog. He ain't won a championship yet. Can't sit here. Now, you're walking into there. You got your gold jacket on. What up, my people? Hey, I see y'all over there. You're walking in, but he cannot sit down yet. He needs a championship to put a stamp on his Hall of Fame career, and he can sit down at those tables. Right now, he's walking into the room because he's a two-time MVP already. He is going into the Hall of Fame. One unanimous, cannot take that away from him. One of the greatest players we've ever seen in the National Football League. That is what we're watching from Lamar Jackson. One of the greatest players we've seen in the National Football League. Not of this era, not whenever the NFL started. Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest players to ever lace them cleats up right now as we speak. He's walking into the Hall of Fame. But to sit with these Tom Bradys, to sit with these Aaron Rodgers, to sit with these Joe Montanas, to sit with these Patty Mahomes, he has to put a stamp on it to win a championship. And I agree, legacy-wise, it's a bunch of quarterbacks out there that want to be Lamar Jackson. And before Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson, a scrambling quarterback and all that can run, we don't want him. Right? He ain't going to win you a championship. He has a chance to change all that, and I think he is going to be the one to change all that. But he needs a championship to put a stamp on his Hall of Fame career, to walk into that building and say, pull my seat up.
All right, Bobby, what do you think?
I think he's spot on. I mean, the question that you heard, and by the way, the question, I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. It's, would a third MVP matter for Lamar without a Super Bowl? I didn't set that up perfectly there off the top. Would a third MVP matter for Lamar without a Super Bowl? I think he did a great job of explaining why it would matter. I know that you're probably thinking that that's directly in line with the approach that you took with Marcus Spears. I still stand where I'm at as well because of, again, not taking Lamar at face value. But a third MVP would put him in elite category, and that's just, you can't even argue that.
So my question to James Jones, if I were at the desk there debating those guys, which would be fun, by the way, is Dan Marino allowed at the table? Because when you go around looking at a bunch of top 10 lists, okay, this one I grabbed from, I had it written down and then I forgot it. I'll come back and get it. RSF. Can't remember what that stands for. PSF. Pro Sports Fans. There it is. Pro Sports Fans. So I grabbed them because I like the way they set it up. This was a year ago, so I think they would put Patrick Mahomes up to number 3. I added in that he has 3 Super Bowls here. Okay. So they have, and most people have, Dan Marino as a top 10 quarterback of all time. Is he standing up in the room? Or does he get to sit down? What do you think, Bobby?
Let me rip off his accolades real quick here.
Here his accolades. He's got 1-time MVP, 9-time Pro Bowl selection, Walter Payton Manning of the Year. And I know he's got like crazy yards for sure over his career. Does he get to sit down at the table, or does he get to or is he standing room only?
I feel like it's the latter.
So he's standing room only.
Yeah, I feel like it's the latter. He's not at that table.
As long as you're consistent, because to me, most people would say he gets to sit down at the table. How do you get to be a top 10 quarterback and you can't sit down at the table? Now look at this also. So I'll say this. First of all, let me say this. And I've said it before. So far, I haven't been proven right, but I think I will. I believe Lamar Jackson's going to win a Super Bowl. I believe he will. He's just too darn great. He's going to get a Super Bowl. So if he gets a Super Bowl, along with this MVP, FanDuel asked the question the other day, true or false, Lamar Jackson is a top 10 quarterback. Bobby, if he wins the Super Bowl this year, he 1,000% is a top 10 quarterback. Because not only would he knock out Dan Marino, but why wouldn't he be there right there with Brett Favre, who has 3 MVPs and 1 Super Bowl? Why wouldn't he
vaults himself?
He would definitely beat out Drew Brees, 1 Super Bowl MVP. John Elway has 2 Super Bowls, 1 MVP. Aaron Rodgers would only be up by 1 MVP. Aaron Rodgers has 1 Super Bowl, and then he's a 4-time MVP. I mean, you might start talking about top 5 quarterbacks of all time if Lamar Jackson wins a Super Bowl this year. And I'm assuming if he wins a Super Bowl, he's also going to win this third MVP. I mean, we're talking top 5. Now, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, which again, I think he can, and I think he will. If he doesn't, I still think he's top 10 because I think he knocks out Dan Marino.
Now, with that whole top 5 thing, though, I agree with you. The one difference, though, aside from Mahomes, he hasn't done it as long as the other guys. The accolades are there,
but
the
who cares if
longevity.
he's able to match almost Aaron Rodgers through year 7 that Aaron Rodgers has done throughout his career, then why? Then who cares? He did it faster.
Well, but he hasn't reached, let's say, double-digit seasons yet.
I hear you, but to me, it's like I don't care. He did just as much as you in the less amount of time.
Oh, he's a 2. He will be.
And unless he has
year.
like a career injury, he's gonna keep going.
Oh, he's gonna keep going. All right, for sure.
No,
I'm just saying. I think
to me, it actually what you're arguing, I think actually helps Lamar's case rather than hurts it.
Well, I'm looking at things like Pro Bowl selections when I say that. Which are obviously the less of, yes, I get it.
The lesser of, yes.
Of these accolades, they take the back seat, of course, to the Super Bowls and the MVPs.
Right. So to me, that propels him forward. It's like, okay, well, just give him 4 more years and he'll get 4 more Pro Bowls, as long as he's not injured. To me, it's like if you got as many MVPs in a Super Bowl in less amount of time, that just propels him even more forward.
Yes, I hear what you're saying. I think there's something to be said, though, about longevity, service time, and what's been his knock up until last year. It was, can he stay healthy? Now that's
his knock before he came into the league.
That's
based off of the way he plays. That's not like a real knock. Because it was a knock that was a narrative before he even started playing. Oh, he's never going to be able to survive long with his playing style. Oh,
but then it became something substantive. After 2021 and 2022, both ended short due to those. So it was more than just a narrative.
No, I mean, you look at how many games he's missed compared to other guys about the same amount of time, and he's right there with them. Joe Burrow's missed more.
Yeah, but Burrow's not even in this. You mentioned
saying,
the top 5 ranking.
I'm just saying, listen, if it were to happen that he had like a career-ending injury, then we can talk. But he's not injured more than the average quarterback. He's not.
No, not anymore. I'm just he at one point, obviously 2 years ago now. Again, a long afterthought. He was, and so when I think of the top 5 quarterbacks, aside from Mahomes, because he's a peer of his right now, or he's trying to become a peer of Mahomes when it comes to the Super Bowl accolades, I look at guys that were in this league for well over a decade. And while, yes, Lamar has and will go on to hopefully in a shorter amount of time eclipse them or equal those guys from an accolade standpoint, I think there is a lot to be said about stacking year after year after year in this league. And I think he will do it. He's just not there yet in year 7.
Sure. But bringing it back to the point this is why a third MVP matters. Don't get caught up in the idea that he can only have one or the other. Root for the regular season MVP, and then once he has that secured, then you root for the Super Bowl. But it matters. It matters when it comes down to legacy. So I don't want to hear, or personally, I'm never going to say, I don't care about the MVP. I just want the Super Bowl. Nah, I want both. It's going to matter in his legacy in the long run.
I think
what did Tom Brady
knows.
have to say, though?
I was going to say, Brady knows he's knocking on the door for that third MVP.
Exciting week of games, and these are my 3 stars of the week.
Might want to be
First,
Lamar?
Lamar Jackson versus Cincinnati. How do you stop this guy, and how do you stop this Ravens high-powered offense? This was the 3rd time this year Lamar's come in as one of my stars of the week. He has delivered yet another MVP-type performance. He threw for a ton of yards, like 290. He threw for 4 touchdowns. There were no picks. This guy had a thrilling Thursday night win over the Bengals. Lamar was on fire in the 4th quarter. He threw 3 TDs in the 4th quarter and a perfect passer rating. Let's see if Lamar and the Ravens offense can keep rolling when they take on a very tough Steelers D this week.
Tom checking in, one of his 3 stars, Lamar, after what we know was his 3rd AFC Offensive Player of the Week honor in that Thursday thriller. It feels like a lifetime ago at this point, being that they've been enjoying their mini bye week. So we heard from Marcus Spears, James Jones, Tom Brady, Sarah. Everybody's been talking about what this guy has been
Lamar.
about.
Yes.
And maybe we haven't talked enough about one of these statistics on the left-hand side if you're on the YouTube space. If you're not, audio only, how about this? The 33rd team put together a graphic of the quarterbacks that have been hit the least entering Week 11 with a minimum of 200 dropbacks as a baseline. Lamar's tied for second, Sarah, with 29 hits taken. Kyler Murray, the only quarterback league-wide that has taken less hits. Can we give some love to the offensive line?
Well, sure. Well,
And
also
Lamar's
give love to
escapability.
Lamar for escaping things. And
Yeah.
I would like to see, this is my point. I should have brought this up when we were arguing about how injury prone he is. He's going to last. This man leads all quarterbacks in rushing yards and is right up there with running backs. And he takes the least hits. People are talking about him not having a long career.
That's
He's
insane.
going to take too many hits.
Look at the difference, by the way.
Do not laugh at that.
Well, I'm glad you brought in both sides, because you have one side, the quarterbacks that have been hit the least, and then the ones that have been hit the most. There is a significant difference in these numbers. Tied for first are Daniel Jones and C.J. Stroud. Sarah, they've had 71 hits sustained to Lamar's 29. Very different quarterbacks, particularly when it comes to, and I know Daniel Jones has his mobility. I know his offensive line is
overrated mobility.
Is in dismay, but this is such a, you're right. It's as much as of a Lamar statistic as it is the offensive line.
Can you say that again? What'd you say?
It's as much of a
No, before that.
Oh, here we go. You can clip me if you want. I ain't saying it again.
You said you're right. You said you're right.
Well, no, because off the top of the statistic, I said when we presented it, I said, can we give some love to the offensive line, which is deserving, particularly given where they were 2 months ago. But just as much credit should be given to, of course, QB1 for sure.
Yeah, and yes, for sure to QB1. But you are right. Like, let's see. I gave it right back to you. The offensive line is playing better than many had expected coming into the season. There were two big concerns: was the defense with all the turnover and the offensive line with all the turnover. Yeah. Offensive line has steadily been getting better. We'll leave the defense alone for now. We've been hard on them, I guess. Enough.
Oh,
especially after Deshaun Elliott did enough there.
No kidding. Let's get to some super chats. We appreciate you guys for being with us today. Over 2,400 of you concurrently watching today's episode of The Vault. Charisma says, praying for 21 to ramp it up. He's been barbecue chicken, referring to Brandon Stevens.
Yeah.
Leslie Jean says, why is winning a championship a baseline for Lamar, but not for Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? Two players that are often put ahead of Lamar. Lamar does not have to win a Super Bowl to be considered an all-time great.
I do think it matters for those other two, by the way. I think it matters. I think they do get more passes. Right. They probably get more passes than Lamar, but I think they hear plenty of that talk for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Just not around these parts sometimes.
We don't
how it goes. Yeah.
Hear about it. Yeah.
Samuel says, okay, I was right. I believe Samuel is a mailman up in Western New York. Is it Buffalo? But anyway, he was confirming that was indeed him. And you're a good sport, Bobby. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Habitual Line Stepper says, the same person who wonders why you get the pessimistic tag. Sarah is the optimist. That's why when you all switch, it's weird. Well, when do we switch?
Well, have I not? I'm a little bit not up. I don't know if I'm pessimistic, but I'm not super optimistic about the defense. Was that what he's referring to?
Habitual thinks that I'm just a pessimist till
you know what's funny is like when this happens in marriages a lot. Like for example, like I feel like I'm decently intelligent, not like the most intelligent person in the world, but I feel like I'm pretty smart. But when you put me up against my husband, like I'm not the smart one in the relationship. You know what I mean? And so like, I mean, it's off the charts. And so it's the same thing. If you're just comparing two people, then like you always get compared next to the person you're with. Like you're a very optimistic person, but it's hard to compare to my optimism. So all of a sudden you would get a pessimistic tag.
And we're just so
Although
different.
You do like drama sometimes. I will say that.
Oh, definitely. I lean into that. I'm petty.
I'm a little anti-drama.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can be petty, I can be controversial, I can be all those things, but does that make? Yeah, I don't think I'm as much of a. I like to believe that I don't think I'm as much of a pessimist as I apparently come across to some Ravens fans that join us on a daily basis. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Thank you for the super chat, Habitual HLS. And Bosif says the stash is cool, Bobby. Thank you.
Keep it.
And Richard is giving you some major love as well. Asmodeus says, Sarah, you're an absolute genius.
Now, Asmodeus knows we don't like vote for giveaways anymore based off of these super chats, right?
Right.
So,
Oh, man. You guys, this is something else.
oh, man.
All right.
Realist is the word they're giving you. All right. What's
Yeah.
next? Lamar's presser?
I like that. Pen 15 Shaft says, you're a realist. And Sharu coming flying in with, get out of here, with a super chat donation. And Sharu says, 1,000 people watching. Let's get some likes on the videos. Hashtag Vault.
1,000
Sharu's
on
always showing
YouTube.
love.
Almost 2,500 total from all social media.
Yep. 970 at this moment on YouTube. 2,400 across all platforms. Sharu, thanks for recruiting those likes. They mean a lot to discoverability.
Sorry. Let me transition here. Okay, so we have given Lamar a ton of love, obviously. He's got an opportunity this week because he's going to go up against a team that he hasn't played as well as he normally does, okay, which is the Steelers. So let's look at some of these, which he was asked about. That's why I'm building up to his quote on him not playing as well against the Steelers. So the Ravens now have lost 3 in a row against the Steelers. And they've lost 7 of their last 8. They've lost 7 of their last 10. So what's crazy, Bobby, is that over the last several years, the Ravens for sure have been better than the Steelers overall. Like it's the Ravens who keep winning the AFC North, or it's been the Bengals, but it really hasn't been the Steelers since Ben Roethlisberger left. The Ravens have enjoyed more playoff success, more playoff bursts, all of it. And yet, head to head, the Steelers keep beating the Ravens. And what's interesting is Jeff Zrebeck, by the way, this is Jeff Zrebeck's work over here that I've underlined. As he pointed out, the Ravens often, and I remember hearing this in press conferences all the time, the Ravens often use the Steelers as a measuring stick, and they draft and sign players designed to win the AFC North first. You can't come into the AFC North not being physical. You just can't do it. You can't come in here acting like you're the NFC South and play in the AFC North. It's not going to happen. So you draft guys that you feel like can be physical and win things. Now, so it's really bad. Now, of those last 10 games, Lamar has only played in 4 of them, and that's what's underlined in yellow. Okay. And for various reasons, whether it's the injuries that you mentioned earlier, or it's just because it's the last game of the season and the Ravens were saving him for the playoffs and didn't want to risk injuring him against the Steelers and, TJ Watt, those kind of guys. Of the 4 games that Lamar has played against the Steelers, he's only won 1.
Yeah.
So not great. Now we've talked about that he has his lowest career passer rating against the Steelers, but he's also had 10 turnovers against the Steelers. Okay. Well, we also talked about in the last game, last year. Remember we talked about the drops?
Oh yeah, we did. All 5 of them.
Bro, look at this. I went back. What is up with that game? Like overall, the Ravens didn't have a terrible time with the drop rate. So go all the way to that last column where it's drop percent rate. Yeah. It's like 5.6, 4, 4.3, 0, and then Pittsburgh comes 24.1. A quarter of the passes thrown their way, they dropped. And 3 of them were in the end zone. And according to PFF, because drops can be subjective, according to PFF, there were 7 drops. Bananas.
7, okay.
7. Okay. So here's Lamar Jackson. They were asking him about his career so far against the Steelers.
Against the Steelers, what's kind of stand out? I mean, they're one of the few teams that have actually had relative success against you. What is standing out against the Steelers with that?
I don't know what it is, man. It's just that I believe that rival atmosphere. I believe last year we supposed to have them, but things just didn't go our way. The football guys wasn't on our side, but it's a whole nother year, it's a new year. I'm looking forward to the game.
Lamar, it's at least a handful of games against the Steelers that you haven't been able to be a part of for a variety of different reasons. Has that ever kind of stuck with you, that they've kind of escaped being able to go against you a few times?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I get a chance to go up against them this year, so I'm good right now. Hopefully, second time come around, I don't know what to say about that, but right now I'm looking forward to that.
I don't know, Bobby. It was more his facial expressions than what he said that got me. When he was asked, like, do you feel like they've kind of escaped you? He starts to smile and catches himself. And he's like, yeah, I feel like they've escaped me. And
no bulletin
again,
board material. No bulletin board material. Don't say what I want to say. Don't say what I want to say.
For sure. Can't do that.
Snap out of it. I'm in front of the microphone. I can't do this. I'm the greatest player in today's game. This is going to get blown up and immediately. I can't do it. I can't do it.
What's funny, Bobby, is a lot of times we will call a game a measuring stick game, and we usually mean it for one opponent. But I think for this game, it's actually measuring stick for both teams. So on the Steelers side, nobody wants to, and we talked about this earlier. You were on the same page as some of the shows that we brought in here. You feel like it's too early to call the Steelers a legitimate Super Bowl contender, correct?
Based on their wins.
Correct. Would you change? Because they've had some quality wins, like they've beaten playoff teams, but I don't even think they've played against like upper echelon, big tier teams like the Ravens. So would it change your mind if the Steelers beat the Ravens? Would you now say, okay, they're Super Bowl contenders?
There's such a difference between AFC North games and then on top of that, Ravens Steelers than others.
Mm-hmm.
So while I would certainly view them in higher regard, I wouldn't vault them directly into Super Bowl contenders. They sweep the Ravens both at their place and on the road where will happen later on in the year. We can have that conversation then. But just to be clear on those wins, like we referenced earlier in the week, they've beaten Atlanta in week 1, Denver week 2, Chargers week 3, Vegas, both New Yorks, and Washington. So I view that as you've got 2 quality wins. Not to say Denver is not one of those. I think the Broncos could very well end up being a wild card team in the AFC. I view the Chargers and the Commanders as their only quality wins thus far.
Okay, fair enough. I think that there will be others, though, that will vault them to Super Bowl contention if they beat the Ravens. I get where you're at. Of course, higher regard. So that's a measuring stick game for the Steelers. But I also feel like it's a measuring stick game for the Ravens because, one, Lamar has an opportunity to be like, no, y'all don't have my number. Okay, we've had some fluky games. I had a 25% drop rate last year. And this is another Lamar you haven't seen yet. And you can have your little game plan that you've had in the past that Arthur Mollett has pointed out, but I'm not the same Lamar. You can tell from his body language. He's like, I'm excited for this. He's smiling. He's got the evil grin, stops it. Like, I think for him, he wants to make a statement. So I feel like he can be like, so there's that for Lamar, but then there's the other measuring stick part where it's like, yes, we've had the better seasons over the last couple of years, but you guys have had our number. No more. And one more thing. If we beat you, and it's always going to be Heinz Field for me. I cannot move on from that name of the stadium. Yeah. If we beat you at Heinz Field, we are now making a statement, and we're gonna beat you at Heinz Field, and we're gonna take the top spot in the AFC North from you. We're just gonna yank it right out from under you in your own house. So both teams, in my view, can make a big statement this weekend.
Right, that's probably being swept underneath the rug. The fact that this has major division implications, and to your point, with a win, the Ravens take over that top spot in the AFC North, which, in recent years, because of the Kenny Pickett era, really in particular, and injuries and where the Steelers have been at the times that the Ravens have played them, this feels a lot bigger, not only because of the smoke and the noise and the conversation leading up to it, but because of the divisional implications. That's what feels a little bit different than in recent years past.
Sure. All right. Well, Lamar, he didn't give too much love back, but he was asked about Mike Tomlin saying hey, be slow to compare anybody to Lamar Jackson because that's Mr. Jackson. Lamar's reaction.
Mine kind of went viral for telling reporters we call you Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Jackson?
Yeah, he said that's Mr. Jackson. We're going to face him next week.
I appreciate that coming from our coach, all the success he's had. But when we on that field, it's a different ball game. That's with any opponent, though, not just the Steelers. My mindset totally different when I'm out there, regardless. I'm trying to win. I appreciate it, though. I appreciate it.
He's not getting reeled in, Bobby.
It's funny. He did a good job of throwing up a poker face there.
Yeah.
If he had seen that clip, and I'd be hard pressed I'd be shocked if he hadn't seen that clip because of how viral it got. And he's on social media like the rest of these guys are. You would have thought he would have gotten more of a chuckle out of it off the top there. But that could also be an indication of where he's at right now, where his mind, where his mental frame is right now going into this weekend.
Oh, he came in with his ninja outfit there. He came in with his
mask on.
It's Lamar Ninja right there. He's not. Yeah. Okay. Deontay Johnson. That's a topic of conversation. He's now been with the team. Is it 2 games?
He's been around for only, the deadline happened on the Tuesday. I guess he's been there for 2 games,
2
right?
games. Yeah. I'm telling you what, when we're doing a daily show inside the NFL season, it's like a time warp. Like I lose all sense of time. Anyway, his reaction to Deontay Johnson.
You had said last week that you expected your chemistry with Deontay Johnson to build pretty quickly. A week later, I'm curious how you feel like that's grown, just the chemistry between you two.
I feel like it's good, actually. We was throwing passes out here today, 7-on team. We're looking pretty good, looking pretty solid.
Is there a fine line between, wanting to get him involved while also not disrupting the rhythm of the rest of the offense because things seem to be working as they've been for a while?
Yeah, I feel like that's part of it. Just don't want to rush things. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's probably how coach those guys feeling. But we definitely want to get him involved because he's a great talent. He's a great addition to our offense, explosive, great receiver from what I seen. We played against him plenty of times, and I see it on the practice field. Definitely want to get him involved.
Real quick, Chad is saying that he's wearing shiesty. I do know that, but I was doing a play on words that like he's locked in. He's not giving too much. He's trying not to grin. So I was like, he's coming in as a ninja, meaning like stealth mode with that. But yes, it's a shiesty. But anyway, Deontay Johnson, what did you make of his comments on him?
Well, how could you not want to get him involved? The guy gives you that man beater presence. Somebody who is a silky route runner. He's got a ton of experience in this league. Has a facelift, of course, coming off the Carolina move. You go from bare bottom to now a Super Bowl contender in a matter of days. And I just kind of get the sense, Sarah, that they're making sure that he gets acclimated. He's staying with Nelly. We know that. Nelly was gracious enough to open up his doors. He's got that Floridian connection. And I think at some point here, I don't know if it's going to happen, what a storybook ending it would be, or at least a storybook beginning to his Ravens career if his breakout game happens on Sunday at his old place where he was drafted. But I do see him being a factor this season. I do. And I think, I don't know whose snaps he's taking, maybe Nelly after a while here. But this is going to be an impact player for them. And if it's not, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, well, it was interesting to me. First of all, he seemed pretty confident about their chemistry. Like, he's like, yeah, actually, we were just throwing. He's like, I feel like we're pretty solid, so I liked that. Sounds like it's coming together. But then he also was like, from a coach's point of view, like, don't fix what's not broken. And so I think there has to be some realism because not only is Todd Monken trying to fit in Deontay Johnson here and there, but he's trying to fit in Keaton Mitchell. You know what I mean? And so it's like, as a coordinator, this is like the best of all quote unquote problems, air quotes, that you can have. So I just think that the expectations for how often he'll see the ball should remain low unless, knock on wood, and we don't want this, unless there's an injury. I really think he was brought in more because he wanted out and because it was basically free and because they needed injury insurance. But until something changes, I just can't imagine he gets too many targets, regardless of what's going on there. So one other thing, or I guess there's 2 other things from Lamar's presser. And yes, just because I said this the other day, my ears definitely perked up. He was asked about watching Ravens Steelers when he was a kid, and he was talking about how cool it was. It was a defensive battle, and he named Ray Lewis and Suggs and Ed Reed and Polamalu, and they're like, "Oh, was that not fun for you because you're an offensive player?" And then he said this, Bobby, which is pertinent these days.
I played safety like when I was a kid, so I was with it.
Well, what was that?
I played safety like when I was a kid, so I was with it.
I'm just saying, Bobby. Two-way player?
Two-way player. How'd the fan base feel about that? You guys all right?
I made that joke yesterday, and nobody bit. Like everybody was like, no. It's like I'm joking. I'm not gonna put Lamar in harm's way. I'm just saying, if you're in the Super Bowl and Lamar just scored a touchdown and you're up by 2, and you're not gonna get the ball back, go put Lamar in there at safety.
Well, it wasn't the only time. That sounds treacherous. Okay, that sounds treacherous. Your creativity sounds treacherous here. I don't put it past the guy that he couldn't do it.
He'd be good.
Lamar freaking Jackson. The guy could be a
people still think I'm being serious. They're all like, no. Oh.
Unreal.
Well, some people are like, okay, F it, let's do it.
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of like, oh, let's at least be open to it. But what I found funny too, that wasn't the only time he referenced sort of his youth days when it comes to football. And I know you have another clip coming up in terms of the only team that he has pure hatred for. Hysterical.
Be different. It's not practice no more with PQ, but
Yep, wrong one. Did I accidentally take it out?
We'll get to PQ in just a bit, but
I think I accidentally took it out. Hold
I
on,
believe it's the Fort Lauderdale youth team.
Yeah, but
that had his number.
Here it is.
Youth football, Fort Lauderdale Lake Vikings. I hated them. I still hate them because I can think about the games we lost against them. I'm like, bro, how did we lose? Like, yeah, man. Yeah, I hated them. I still hate them right now. Like, the kids cool now. I love the kids now, but I won't want my child to play for Lauderdale Lakers, man.
You feel that way about the Steelers at all?
I mean, I hate everybody in the league. Well, every team in the league when I'm going against them. I don't have no heart for a team I'm going against them. I'm trying to win because they don't have a heart for me when they're going against me. Probably after the game is all love, but on that field, no. No, actually, Zay younger though. Zay was on younger pounds, but he actually played for those guys that team. That I hate that team. I don't hate nothing, but I hate that team. They always beat me. Oh, I beat them. I beat them when they counted, but they beat me. They beat me regular season all the time. I used to get ticked off like, bro. I used to be crying, booger nose, snot, like a kid, like I'm hurt. But I beat them when they counted. We won the Super Bowl. So
this guy, the ultimate. I mean, is that not the ultimate competitive spirit? Years later, Sarah, with all the accolades that he's achieved in the NFL, and he still thinks about the Fort Lauderdale Lakes. Is that what it is? The Fort Lauderdale Lakes.
So much so that it doesn't matter that it's like a bunch of kids. He's like, I'm not sending my kid there. I mean, I'm sure the kids are fine, but yeah, no, that is the ultimate competitor. And how do you just not he just has such a likable personality. And it's like every single week. He just is up there with a smile, not taking it too seriously. He's constantly, and I don't even know if it's on purpose, he's got the media rolling almost every single week. He just is a ridiculously likable guy, which sometimes competitive people are like not likable. It's like, dude, like, can you chill for a second? Like, it's too intense. And but that's not him. Like he has fun.
I gotta tell you too, Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun, that was a fantastic question that set up that answer from Lamar. And I'll also add, Lamar has become a master communicator when it comes to his media sessions. The quick follow-up in there that one of the reporters added in, which was, do you feel that way as you do with this Fort Lauderdale team about the Steelers because of this overarching theme that we've been talking about this year, which is that Pittsburgh's had his number, albeit a small sample size.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar quickly took that and said, no, I hate every NFL team. And turned it around quickly, because had it just been the Steelers, and how easy would it have been in a playful moment when everybody's laughing to be like, yeah, I'll throw them in the same category. And then all of a sudden that becomes a blown up storyline. And now Pittsburgh has some sort of bulletin board material, whether you want to call it that or not. He has really become a master in how he frames sentences and uses his words to give him the advantage when it comes to the, of course, a big part of the puzzle in today's NFL media crazed world.
It's a really good point. I didn't pick up on that. Yeah, because it's sometimes when, like, at least me, sometimes I say the dumbest things when I'm having fun. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, whoops. Yeah. And so to catch himself in the moment of fun is really good.
And all of a sudden, it's posted up on a quote board.
Right.
And it's the words. It's not the context. It's not the tone. It's not the moment in the press conference. How many times does that happen on a weekly basis in today's society? So good on you, Lamar. It's something that probably isn't discussed enough. And honestly, I think the Ravens PR team deserves probably some love there as well for putting him in those positions with all the work that they do behind the scenes. So shall we talk about PQ?
Let's do it. What do you got?
Well, he's, of course, becoming the main storyline here and is reuniting with the Ravens. He was drafted.
Deshaun wasn't liking that, though. Deshaun's like, I want to be part of the main storyline. So
you better believe that.
He put himself in there.
And maybe that was their plan all along. Hey, I'm going to say something. Deshaun's like, look, I'm going to make sure that you get your due here, or I get my due, and take the spotlight away from you. Who knows what that was like there, strategizing wise, or if that was even a strategy to begin with. But what I do know is Patrick Queen met with the media after all, Sarah, because Deshaun kind of alluded to on the Punchline podcast that maybe he wouldn't speak with reporters this week. Well, It was only a matter of hours afterwards that he did indeed speak with reporters, and he had this to say, courtesy of our friend Brooke Pryor of ESPN.com over there in Pittsburgh.
To go back, I don't know if I said that or not, put that in the public or not. I wasn't wanted back. I didn't get an offer back, and it's definitely kind of upsetting, being there for 4 years and the bond that you grow with your teammates and stuff. But at the end of the day, like I said, like the first few months, you definitely go through those feelings. And now, after playing games, you just go by. You just want to win games. You want to win with your teammates, your new teammates. You want to bond with those guys. Everything that you do is for the organization that you're in now. And like I said, I will have feelings. Obviously, anybody in my position would this week. So I'm just taking one day at a time. And whatever happens, happens.
How do you channel that?
I don't know, self-control. Prayed about it a little bit. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the outside picture makes it bigger than what it is. I think for me personally, it's just, like any situation that anybody, like I said, that would be in my shoes, they would feel a certain way. But I don't think it had to be anything more, anything extra.
Have you talked to Harbaugh or DeCosta since you signed here?
I have not. No. Never had a conversation with either of those two. So. Yeah.
How long did it take you to kind of work through all of those feelings?
We're gonna end it with Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff.
What was the question?
I said, how long did it take you to kind of work through those feelings and get to the other side where you are now?
Probably till the end of August, early September. Even though I signed and stuff, you obviously still go through those feelings and stuff. Just knowing that a long 4 years that you put in blood, sweat, and tears over there, like I said, the guys that you bonded with, build close relationships with, even the training staff to the strength staff, everybody that you built a relationship with, you put your body on the line every single time that you went out there, even when you could barely even move your leg or whatever the injury may have been. You just go out there and try to do your best for that team. So I definitely did feel a type of way after the whole situation, but I'm over it now.
Part of Patrick Queen's media session in a reporter scrum yesterday, Sarah, up there in Pittsburgh. And as you heard there in the middle part of that answer, I will have feelings. Anybody would this week. He also said off the top, as Brooke Pryor transcribed on X, I wasn't wanted back. I didn't get an offer back. It's definitely kind of upsetting being there for 4 years, the bond that you grow with your teammates. At the end of the day, the first few months, you definitely go through those feelings. Unloading some of those feelings, Sarah, as he's often done, whether it be through social media or in this case, through the media since this departure took place back in March.
Bobby, do you watch Survivor?
Enough to know where you might be going with this.
Okay. Well, most everybody knows the concept of Survivor. At the end of each show, you go to tribal and you vote somebody off the tribe. Survivor's been going on. I feel like we just did like the 40th season, or we're coming up on the 40th or 50th. It's crazy. It's been going on forever. Everybody knows what's going to happen at the end. And they all know that they're probably being lied to, and there's like everything going, you know what I mean? And so you respect people after they get voted out. They're like, oh, dang, y'all got me. Y'all got me. Good play, guys. You guys blindsided me. You got me. Good luck the rest of the game. But every once in a while, you have somebody who is in their feelings and just cannot believe that they would lie to them, even though they've been lying to their tribe members for days. And people walk in there all tough, and they're like, oh, I'll do what I need to do to win this game. I'll lie, I'll cheat, I'll do whatever it takes. And then they're shocked that it might happen back to them. And they're so hurt and da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, what? Do you know what game you're playing? You're playing Survivor. Like, how are you so hurt? You know, and don't get me wrong, I would still feel a certain type of way. Like if you and I were on Survivor, I'm sure eventually we would try to win the game, and we might have to like be less than honest with one another. And it would be like, oh, that sucks. Bobby got me. And you're like disappointed. But I can say to you, Bobby, good game, right? It was the worst kept secret that the Ravens were not going to retain Patrick Queen. Everybody knew it. We were saying it from before the season started, that you paid Roquan Smith, and as bad as Roquan's playing now, there's not a single soul on the planet that said he wasn't worth his extension in the trade that Eric DeCosta did. He was worth it. Ever since they extended Roquan Smith, everybody knew that you couldn't pay top dollar to two inside linebackers. That wouldn't be smart. You had Lamar Jackson to pay and other players. Okay. So I can get how he could be like, man, this stinks. I wanted to stay. We had a great defense. I had Roquan, this and that. Like, that may not feel good. But for him to say, like, it was upsetting and he didn't get over it until September, he's one of those Survivor players that doesn't know that he's playing Survivor. Like, I get it. I would want to stay too. You want to stay with the team that drafted you. But how do you not see it from the moment Roquan was brought in? Like, go out and do what you got to do and seek your revenge as everybody would. Come out with fire and all that, but not until September. I don't understand that, especially from a guy. It's the same thing when people come in and play Survivor. Oh, I could be the villain and I'm going to lie and cheat and all this. You are a self-proclaimed villain and you're in your feelings until September? Come on, man. What? Like, how do we not know the business by now? But whatever. Come out. He says he's going to feel feelings. And as he should, as any player would, they want to show what the team is missing out on. Fair enough. But to be in that feeling for that long, I don't get that part of it.
He was open and honest, that's for sure. Maybe even to a fault. And people have obviously had a lot of reactions, wide-ranging reactions to those comments. And Jeff Zaribek, again, not news what Patrick shared with reporters yesterday, that he wasn't wanted back and did not get an offer back. Jeff revisited a column he put up back in April, and here you have it. Baltimore also made no effort this offseason to bring back Queen, even after the open market didn't yield the type of contract offers that many pundits projected for the then 24-year-old inside linebacker. So there really was nothing new about what he had to share, other than, here we go again. PQ is getting very open and honest and emotional. And we'll see how that plays out come Sunday. As far as the injury report is concerned, through one day of course, 3 practices leading into the weekend, Kyle Hamilton was a DNP. Sarah will have more on him in just a second, because he was at least active, but not active enough during the practice to be listed as a limited or full participant. He was a DNP with that ankle. We know that's a sprain. I've been told it's a day-to-day ordeal. Jalen Armour-Davis with a knee, full participant. Isaiah Likely returned to practice after missing last week with his hamstring setback. He was limited. Brent Urban, as we've discussed, has been seen out there. He was a full participant, out of concussion protocol. Good for him, because that was a multi-week thing, which is always scary when it comes to concussions. And Kyle Van Noy popped up with an illness, also as a DNP. You'd like to think that that's not going to linger into the weekend, but we'll have to watch how the next couple days unfold. The big news there is related to number 14, and that's the fact that Kyle Hamilton, Sarah, was seen by beat reporters during the media viewing session working with a trainer on an adjacent field. Did not look like he was 100%, according to those beat reporters like Jeff and company. Don't know what that might mean for him moving forward, but we obviously know his importance to this team moving forward defensively.
That's a pretty decently good sign. Not that he'll play this week. That sounds like it's still up in the air. But to be working on an adjacent field, that usually means like you're pretty close. It's not like he's stuck in the you know what I mean? He's stuck in a boot or he's stuck in the training room. Like, to be working out, what did they see him doing?
Oh, I think it was just, I'd have to go look at the actual language, but it was work on an adjacent field.
Okay. I mean, that's a pretty decently good sign. Again, that doesn't mean he'll be back this week, but it definitely lets you know that he's somewhat close.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Definitely.
No, I mean, for week 11, Bobby, that's
Here
a pretty good. That's a pretty good injury report.
Here's the language.
Okay.
Jeff Zaribek. Hamilton was working out on a side field with member of the athletic training staff. Didn't look 100%, but notable that he was out there.
Yeah. Agreed. Notable.
There you have it. As far as Pittsburgh, remember, Alex Highsmith, their standout linebacker, has already been ruled out, according to their head coach, Mike Tomlin, earlier in the week. So no need to watch him. He's out.
Yeah.
Nick Herbig, also a linebacker, was a full participant with a hamstring. That's one to watch, trending towards playing. Najee Harris, I would think that this is just wear and tear based on some of the press conferences that I've listened to from the Steelers side of things. He was a DNP with an ankle, but we know that how much they use him and rely on him from a rushing attack standpoint. The others on this list, from my understanding, aren't anything to really take note of.
Sure.
Cameron Hayward is their game wrecker at defensive tackle, somebody who the Ravens know very well.
Mm-hmm.
Just an NIR, not injury-related rest designation. He was a DNP on Wednesday. So we'll just have to watch how this takes place over the next couple of days, including Herbig and Harris.
Okay, so those are the two. So Highsmith's already out, but you want to watch Herbig but Harris, I just feel like
he'll be good
that one. Yeah, he'll be good to go. So it's really Herbig we're just watching. I mean, Cameron Hayward Bay. I mean, it's just a rest day.
Yeah, Hayward, he'll be ready to go. That guy's an absolute dog.
Well, look, good. That's really one main guy each that's kind of in jeopardy from each team. You want a full team. I have a feeling these injury reports will look a lot different after these two teams meet.
You know it. You know how it goes. What you got for us here?
Oh, my gosh. I love this. The chat knows what this is. Okay, so that Lamar Jackson scramble and then run from where he was pushed back all the way to like the 31 or the 32.
Yep.
And somehow he gets out of it. And there's this little kid that the Ravens production's got. Where on the left, he's watching Lamar get pushed back to the 30. And he's like, and then all of a sudden, I'm gonna play the clip in just a minute.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, like Lamar somehow breaks through and makes it all the way to the 1 and almost a touchdown. And he's like, oh. This is like is going to be my new favorite meme. Like that, this little kid, where is he? Who is this? I mean, it's a kid, so he deserves privacy, but I love him already. Okay, but have you seen the clip, Bobby? Have you seen the clip yet?
I watched it at the gym today.
Oh, okay. Oh, I haven't seen the whole episode, but this clip is amazing. This is Eddie Jackson kind of reacting on the sideline after we see this kid.
That play is not humanly possible. It's unbelievable. He should have been sacked back at the 30-yard line. Any other quarterback would have been. He tiptoed down the sideline like an Olympic gymnast, tucked into a crowd, and gets the ball to the 1-yard line. It's 1st and goal.
Hey, he different. That's why that MVP3.
The Lamar Jackson experience, pre and post, right?
Oh, for sure. Eddie Jackson's like, throw it away. Throw it away. Never mind. Be you. Be Lamar Jackson. Like, it's just. But Bobby, these two facial expressions is exactly what it's like to root for the Ravens. It is exasperating. Well, like whether it's within a single Lamar Jackson play where like it looks like disaster and somehow he comes up with magic, or that the offense go down and score and then 2 seconds later, one pass later, Jamar Chase is in the end zone. Like, it is exhausting. It's exasperating. It's tolling. It's heart race inducing. Like, this is what it's like to be a Ravens fan. This is it right now in 2024.
I will tell you, I don't always carve out time just in the middle of crazy weeks from a content perspective to watch Ravens Wired. I did this morning. I did not last night, but I did this morning. They continue to be just a rock star production crew that put that together on the fly in a matter of days. Think about that. That game was played on Thursday night. Typically, they only have a few days to turn it around. They had an extra few days because of that mini bye week to turn it around, and they just don't miss. It's super impressive content they put together.
It's very, very impressive. And a quick question for chat. Remember when you read a super chat and it was Eric Wiggins who said that he's optimistic that the defense will turn it around? And both of us were like, where do you get that optimism? Then somebody in the chat said it was from Wired last night. Was there anything in Wired that made you think that you'd have confidence? I didn't watch the whole thing yet. So I'm wondering what it was in Wired that made people have confidence that the defense will turn it around. Because that was bad.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us
Not
know.
a fan says the difference between Patrick Queen not being wanted and not being affordable. I bet he wouldn't have came back for half his current salary if the Ravens begged him.
Right, exactly. Like, it's one thing to want you back. Are you kidding me? But nobody wanted to insult you with an offer that the Ravens could afford based off of what they paid Roquan. And Matabike, by the way, was one that they prioritized. And Lamar Jackson earlier. So it's wanting you back at a price that's not insulting to you. Not a fan is exactly right.
If business can sometimes get personal, if you can somehow keep it outside of the personal
realm,
yeah, it's easier said than done.
For sure.
Man, trust me, I've been on the wrong side of that belief many times, and it's not easy.
It's not easy.
He was still very young. Remember, he came into this league very, very young out of LSU. What was he, 21 years old? He's 25 now.
And he also had like that COVID year, right?
Yeah, well, he came in 2020, right? I think he was a first-round pick for the Ravens in 2020. Point being, still super young, has always worn his emotions on his sleeve.
Yeah.
And, of course, right out of the gate, they were riding him. They rode him early. They gave him a lot, and he was under pretty significant scrutiny from the moment he joined the Ravens because of not only the standard at linebacker, but because of how much he was playing at an early age.
Chad is saying what gave him confidence was Marlon's leadership from that show. And I did see that other clip where they were on the sideline. I think it was Mollett who was like, oh, we need a punch out. And then Marlon obliged. So, okay. All right.
Samuel says, living in Buffalo, New York, it's wild how disrespected number 8 is. He also says that you could hear the communication on defense, which is promising from that Wired segment to answer your question. Jemmy93 says, I can see it. We in the Super Bowl, 5 seconds left. Other team has the ball, trying for a Hail Mary, and Lamar is out there and gets the game-sealing pick. Really be a GOAT, referring to Lamar potentially morphing into a defensive back.
A safety, yes.
Yeah. BG Method says the Steelers are trying to get into the Ravens' heads a little bit. It's going to backfire. They're going to lock in more. Owe gets 2 sacks. Jay Griffin says, hey, Sarah, check it. Owe always brings the heat.
Do you know what this is about?
No idea.
I can't remember if he tagged you on Twitter. Griffin reached out to me and said, and I actually bookmarked his tweet and almost brought it in. I just forgot to. He tweeted me yesterday, hey, can we make fun of the way Bobby says always? Because it sounds like always, like Owe.
Oh, really?
So he says, Owe always brings the heat.
Yeah.
Is that what you just said? Owe always? Say it the way you normally would. Say Owe always brings the heat.
Oh, gosh. Now, what did I say? Now I'm going to think about not saying it the way I said inadvertently. I'll just try and do it again. Hey, Sarah, check it. Owe always brings the heat.
You got a little bit of an
Is that
L
any
in
different
there,
than
that one had a
first
little
time?
bit of an L. Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't think he thinks I say always.
Always. Yeah. Like
I probably do. It's probably an upstate New York thing.
Always.
Jay Griffin. keeping receipts
He
on my
paid $2
language.
to make fun of you right there. I love
I know.
it.
I know. Amazing. Thor says Harbs doesn't know how to prepare for the Steelers. Habitual line stepper says, in the way you cover the team, not as far as character, I definitely don't judge one's character off work. Oh, he thinks I'm pessimistic.
Oh, gotcha.
I got you, Habitual. That was like an hour ago. Sorry, I'm just catching up on all these super chats. Thanks for clarifying your opinion. And we got some more quick hits before we jump.
Couple quick hits. Gridiron Grill, or not Gridiron. What's BR? What's BR? Bleacher Report Gridiron? Okay. Yep. Bleacher Report Gridiron says, is Derrick Henry getting underpaid? I didn't know if that was like a facetious question, but they show all the average salaries per year per running backs. Christian McCaffrey getting a sweet $19 million. Jonathan Taylor is smooth $14 million. Saquon Barkley $12.5 million. Alvin Kamara $12.2. Josh Jacobs $12. Joe Mixon $9.8. David Montgomery $9.1. I'm going to mess up his name. Stevenson, $9 million. Chuba Hubbard, 8.3. DeAndre Swift, 8. And then Derrick Henry at $8 million. Is he getting underpaid? 1,000%.
In no world is he not.
Right. 1,000%. And the Ravens are blessed because of it. That's all I got to say about that. And speaking of Derrick Henry, he was asked, he was so low key again. He's so low key. He said that, this is his first time playing the Ravens playing the Steelers as a Raven. He says, you got to embrace the physicality, which he's no stranger to. And they reminded him that, the saying is you're not a Raven until you beat the Steelers. And he said, well, I guess I won't be a Raven until I get a W. It's not if I get a W. He said, until we get a W.
Yep. It's a lifestyle.
Win.
It's a lifestyle. PFF's lowest open target percentage. Look who's on the list among NFL corners with a minimum of 25 targets so far through 10 weeks. Nate Wiggins, 25%. Good for second, tied with Sauce Gardner. This is again, not just rookie corners. He's tied with all corners, or at least for second on this list in terms of lowest open target percentage. And Sarah, obviously, I haven't talked a whole lot about him this year just because the unit itself has struggled collectively. But individually, maybe quietly, Nate's putting together a nice rookie season for the amount that's been asked of him.
That's what's so weird is that you have like Derek Hamilton, who's playing
Kyle
Hamilton. Whatever. Okay, so it's so weird because you have Kyle Hamilton playing well. You have like the lowest open target rate for Nate Wiggins, and so you have two studs there, and it's Stevens and Williams. I mean, and then the linebackers coverage. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. But you can't really give them a compliment when things are going this bad.
It's hard to.
Yeah. Peter Schrager on Good Morning Football this morning had a little trivia. He said, who is the all-time sack leader in the Steelers-Ravens series? For audio only, I'll leave intrigued because you can see the answer for video. Terrell Suggs, James Harrison, TJ Watt, or Ray Lewis?
This wasn't all that hard, was it?
I would have thought James Harrison would have been up there.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely not Ray Lewis. I mean, he's not. I mean, Ray's awesome, but he's not like a sack guy. I would have thought TJ Watt is too early, but I thought maybe James Harrison would have been in there. But Terrell Suggs, Hall of Fame.
Would not surprise me.
Let's go.
When it's all said and done, if TJ ends up overtaking Sizz. But there's a reason why Sizz was the king of this rivalry. And you're seeing right there one of the many reasons why he was exactly that. Game day threads, white on black. 1 o'clock, Acrisure Stadium, or infamously known as Heinz Field. 1 o'clock kickoff, Sunday, November 17th. We'll have our game preview coming up tomorrow at 12:30. I am solo on this Friday. Rob King, who is the voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers, will join us. Looking forward to that one. And did you want to share what's up, or how did you want to handle it?
Oh, yeah. Let me share my screen a little bit. Okay, so this is why I'm not going to be here tomorrow. So my church annually has this worldwide initiative where they encourage people to celebrate the birth and life of Jesus Christ, obviously around the Christmas season, by doing acts of kindness and acts of service for others. This started back in 2016. So you try to remember to do that all throughout December. Well, in 2017, they were trying to come up with an idea of how to help people do that. And they came up with this idea called the giving machine, which is like, it looks like a vending machine. It acts like a vending machine. It's this big red machine. And when you go up to it, instead of like getting a candy bar or a drink or chips or something like that, there is a bunch of okay, so the church has partnered with a bunch of charities. So here in Columbus, they've partnered with a bunch of local Columbus charities. If you're in Baltimore, they'll partner with the ones in Baltimore, but they also have some global ones. And so you go in there and you'll have options like buying people food, clean water, hygiene kits, survival kits, shoes or backpacks for kids. This year in Columbus, there's Ukrainian refugee kits. There's kits for kids with malnutrition. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And so you like go up there like you would on a machine, and you'd be like, okay, I want D4, which was buying, oh, this is another one. You could buy chickens for somebody across the world. So one in Columbus, you can be like, okay, I'm going to buy chickens for somebody in whatever, Jordan, it could be anywhere. So anyway, this is the first year it's in Columbus. So the church asked me to be a spokesperson here in Columbus with all the news media that we've been getting. There's a big unveiling tomorrow at noon for the giving machine. And like Jim Trossett, who is the OSU head football coach, is the MC for it. So I got to go to that and help out with the media and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I'll be tomorrow. And if you don't mind, Bobby, I would like to just share a quick video that kind of shows it, because there's one in the Columbia Mall too. If you guys want to go check it out, it is so, if you go there, like the energy is so on point. So here it is. Let me share this. All right. And let me just hit play here. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to encourage everybody, like wherever you can, try to light the world at some point this season. Bobby, I've been trying to do this once a year. And what I always tell my kids, you think of like the Bible verse from Christ that says, whoever shall find his life will try to remember the exact words. Basically, find his life will end up losing it. Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. And so it's kind of paradoxical where like you'd think that in order to make your life better, you should focus on yourself. But I have found that when I'm down or when I'm sad or something's going wrong, instead of like, maybe turning to a TV show or to like distract me from it, or for those, maybe you want to go drink or something like that to forget your sorrows, I want to suggest that the best way to uplift yourself and make life better is to forget about yourself and go serve somebody else. Because you start to realize that, you know what, maybe my life is, I should be grateful for the things that I do have. So that helps on the recipient's end. But on the giver's end, obviously, I've seen it transform lives where sometimes people are have just hit a bad patch. I mean, this year we're teaming up with the Ronald McDonald House here in Columbus. And, it's parents' kids who have fallen ill. And suddenly they're in the hospital and they got to take time off from work. So you can buy 25 warm showers for somebody, or bedding, or 50 loads of laundry. And so when you do these for people, I've seen it. It restores dignity to people who are in a tough spot. It empowers them once again to have more self-reliance. It makes them think like, oh my gosh, a stranger cares about me. And by doing those first few things, what's most important is that through that, they feel the love of God. And that's how you become a light. That's how you go out and light the world, is through your acts of service. They can see that not only somebody here on earth, but somebody up above loves them. Because oftentimes Heavenly Father will work through us to bless people's lives. So I'm excited. Thank you for giving me the day off tomorrow so I can go and be a part of this event and help promote it. There is a giving machine in Columbia Mall, as you see here. Frank has it there. If you guys get the chance, go and check it out and do what you can in any small way to go and light the world.
Thanks for sharing, partner. Have an awesome time tomorrow. And how'd everything go yesterday?
It was good. So I did at 1:10. That's what I jump off yesterday. I did an interview here with TV10, which is the local CBS show, and I also did one with the Ohio News Network, which their radio. So if they happen to post it, I'll see where they put it, and maybe I'll share it on my socials, maybe on Twitter. Some of those interviews that I've done, then I'm sure I'll have a ton tomorrow at this event. So it went well. So thank you for finishing the show for me yesterday. You've been absolutely supportive in helping me get this done here.
Of course. And I appreciate you sharing the message as well. And for those of you who are in the area, like you said, if you want to get involved, Columbia Mall, just in terms of the geography here in the Maryland area. We got to thank our patrons before we jump, Patrick York and Sarah Kendall. Thank you both. You guys are literally 1 and 2 of our first patrons who hopped on and have been supporting us ever since. And you guys are, of course, important pieces to the Vault Patreon community. So thank you guys for being with us. You're the OGs of the crowd. This is your monthly shout out. If you guys are interested in doing the same, visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. You can learn more in the show notes. So I'll catch up with you on Sunday, of course, for our post-game show. Pre-game on Sunday. By the way, before I forget, and you may need to take 30 seconds while I close on this, people are asking for your prediction. Since you won't be tomorrow.
Okay.
So
why don't you give me a second? We got one more super chat that came in. Okay, let me think here. We're in Heinz Field.
And Not a Fan says, I appreciate your kind words, Sarah. Go be amazing. You've encouraged me to donate a hug to @Meltrap in the chat. All right. Mel, are you willing to be on the receiving end of said hug? If you're not, we got issues, and we're going to hug you anyway. And I'm even happy, Not a Fan, to add on to this. I'll give you a hug as well, Mel.
Oh, a virtual hug. I love it. I love it. That was so good. Okay. I haven't heard from Mel yet. Maybe he's behind. Bobby, listen. I know that you already kind of spoiled that you're not going to pick the Ravens again for the second week. And I totally get the logic in that. I mean,
no, I am picking the Ravens.
Oh, you are picking the Ravens?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said that you weren't going to for the second week in a row.
Yeah, no, I'm picking them.
Yeah, I'm picking the Ravens. I just feel like Lamar wants to make a statement. And pretty much these days, what Lamar wants, Lamar does. What Lamar wants to do, Lamar will go out and do. I feel like he wants to make a statement. I feel like the way Russell Wilson has been playing actually plays into the Ravens defense a little bit. Unless he changes his ways, it just doesn't seem like he attacks the middle of the field very much with the linebackers and safeties. He's more out wide. So throw it out to Nate Wiggins. Let's do that. But I do still think it could be a little bit more low scoring. It's not going to be like, against the Bengals where it's like first to 35 or 40. So I'm going to go Ravens 28, and I'll give Steelers 24. And it's like they've averaged a 4-point difference over the last several years. So I'm sticking with that 28-24 Ravens. Tune in tomorrow for mine in terms of the score. Sorry, I kind of spoiled it already. No, you're good. All right. You try to put words in my mouth, but look forward to that tomorrow. Rob King, voice of the Steelers, will join me at 12:30. We'll have a boatload of content as always, including the coordinators that are speaking and whatever the Pittsburgh side of things. However that unfolds over the next 24 hours. So looking forward to that, partner. As always, I appreciate you. I will catch up with you for the post-game show
on Sunday. I will be back in 23 hours from now under that for a Friday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. And you can also catch me in pregame form at Michael's Cafe in Timonium, Maryland. If you'd like to come out, join me. We're going to be doing giveaways. It's an 11 o'clock show until 12:30. You can stay and watch the game, or if you're in the area, you can get back literally before kickoff, which is 1 o'clock in Pittsburgh. So for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Thursday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. We so appreciate you guys for being here. On your way out, please like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Not a fan. You were yesterday's giveaway winner thanks to Homage. I need one more thing from you. I'm going to email you in just a second, but if you see it now, click on the link at Homage and pick out a t-shirt. I forgot to tell you, you get to pick your t-shirt. It's not just a random one. So if you're still here, please do that. If not, we'll shoot you an email right now within the next couple minutes as a reminder. So anyway, partner, great to see you. I hope you have an awesome day tomorrow, and thank you again for sharing that message, and thanks to all of you for spending some time with us, as always, here inside the vault. We'll talk soon.